into what he is, an FBI agent, you have to say you're capable of killing someone. Imagine hearing your son say that. But one day he said in an email to me, he came out of a class and he saw a turtle on the street. So he spent half an hour finding a pond to release it in. And I always say, you don't worry about him having a gun if he spends half an hour to save a turtle.
Right.
Oh, and let me give the two of you a test question from Schweitzer. You go out after the program, and it's a moist, wet day, and you see a worm on the street. What do?
I usually pick them up and put them over in the dirt.
How about you, Deb?
Well, if I see them, I might go around them.
Mm-hmm. You failed.
Okay.
At least you didn't walk on them.
But because I have been doing this for years, and believe me, when you're walking the dog in the morning, there are a lot of worms. And I just really felt I'm neurotic, but I couldn't help it. And then I read one of Schweitzer's books, and he said if you're out walking in the rain, after the rain, and you see a worm, pick it up and return it to the earth. And if you see an insect in a puddle, give it a leaf to climb on.
Oh, yeah.
So when I read that, it's his preaching of a reverence for life. And I just felt so good reading his words that I'm not crazy. I just care a lot about these creatures. Yeah.
Well, there's that famous little Buddhist koan where two monks are somewhere, and one of them has helped a turtle across the road, and the other one says, "What have you done? You've interfered with the destiny of that turtle. You should have just left him where he was." And the other one replies, "Yes, but perhaps his destiny was to meet me so that I could lift him across the road."
Yeah. That's why I keep saying, and it didn't come from me, but Jung, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was a friend, they would always be saying, there are no coincidences. And that's what it's about. We participate in life, whether it's picking up a creature or walking down a certain street or driving in a certain place, who you meet and what happens. And I think when you pay attention to that intuitive part of yourself, then all those contacts and things help your life work out in the right direction.
Well, yeah, I think that even things like when I take the dog for a walk around here, I'm in a very rural, wooded area, and even the wildlife that I see, the deer or the bear or the owl, thanks to Ted Andrews, I can go look up what that owl has in his history and what he might be having to tell me. And, like you said, there's no coincidence. Why did I see the owl this Tuesday and not last week? So I think it's really valuable to look at the messages all the animals have for us in the natural world and in our home environment. And I have to thank you, Bernie, for empowering people to talk to their animals. I mentioned in my TED Talk that I did that you consider everyone an animal communicator because we all ask our dogs questions. Is it dinner time? Do you want to go for a walk? And they always understand us and know what we mean.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy. The dog I have now is named Rags. Oh, and let me recite that because I was reading a book of poetry, and one section was poetry about animals, from well-known people who have buried their pets with a stone. It talks about what a beautiful creature is buried here, and at the end it says, that it's a dog because you wouldn't have a description like this about a person. It's, all the beautiful behavior. But in the poem Rags by Edmund Vance Cook, he writes about a soldier, and in his unit there was a dog that literally saved many of their lives. And when the war is over, he thinks, gee, I'd like to take the dog home. But when he's discharged, he can't find the dog. And he goes back to medical school. That's when I really focused on the play. And he goes back to school. They walk into a lab. There's a dog cut open on the table. And it's his dog, Rags. And he goes over to him, and the dog licks his hand and then dies. And the poem ends with, if there's no place, in heaven for a dog like that, for a creature like that, I'll take my place in hell. And so the next time a dog adopted me, this one, Rags, because I was at the shelter, And he looked at me, oh, God, his eyes. I couldn't go home without him. I said, I'll take him home.
He's very compelling. My mother saw his picture when I posted my email announcing your guest on my show, and she said, oh, that dog, I just love him. What's his name? And I was telling her about Rags, and she was really moved by him. And it is a miracle how dogs find us. I know the dog I have now, I really wanted a baby corgi. My other corgi was getting old, and he was a service dog, and I needed to have a new dog. And I had my sister searching for baby corgis, and I was looking everywhere for baby corgis. And there I was. As you said, there's no coincidence. My mom needed cornflakes for some special thing she makes every Christmas, and she didn't have any. She was going to use cornflakes with frosting on them, and I said, no, not on a potato dish. So I ran out to the grocery store, and I started to read the boxes of cornflakes and frosted flakes, and they both have the same amount of sugar. So I was very upset about this, so I bought her kashi flakes, and she'd actually said to me, don't bring any weird food, but of course I did. And so I was so confused when I was leaving the grocery store that I went out the indoor, and a big woman was coming in with a big cart and kids, and, it's Christmas Eve. And I was smashed up against the wall with my head to the side, and there was a poster for baby corgis. And I ran to the car and called, and I had my dog with me in the car, which I don't usually, but I did. And I called and I said, I need a red male. Do you have one? And he said, we have one left. Come over right now. So Christmas Eve, 6 o'clock, I shoot over, and there's little Tristan, and he's tiny and cute, and Comet liked him, and all of his dogs were wonderful. And I said, this is the one I think I want, and tell me about him. And he said, well, you're lucky he's here. He was adopted this morning by somebody as a Christmas gift. And, of course, the partner saw the dog and didn't like him and wanted a black one that was a girl, and so they returned him. And then the further coincidence is that his birthday is the same day as my best friend and ex-husband. And I was like, what a miracle. Like, there is no way Tristan was not going to be my dog with so many coincidences lined up. And he's been a fabulous dog for me. And he fit into our family perfectly.
Beautiful. Well, we need to take a break, everyone. Right. We'll be back in a moment, so don't go away. Stay with us.
Join Dr. Bernie Siegel on Mind Health Matters every week, Wednesday through Friday, 12 p.m. and 12 a.m. Eastern Time on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Bernie will draw from his inspirational personal journey, offering us special nuggets of his sacred wisdom. Listen in as Bernie reminds us to be fully engaged in life.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For 40 years, Omega has been a gathering place for great thinkers, creative talent, spiritual teachers, and social visionaries. With 390 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
Dr. Bernie Siegel's writings and the 12 books he's published so far reflect his passion to reach people struggling with all of life's challenges. His latest, A Book of Miracles, inspiring true stories of healing, gratitude, and love, is both riveting and belief-expanding. Bernie has produced wonderful resources for everyone, like 365 prescriptions for the soul, daily messages of inspiration, hope, and love, and faith, hope, and healing. Bernie's books also include those like Love, Magic, and Mud Pies, a great resource for parents, and delightful, loving stories like Buddy's Candle to help children of all ages cope with the loss of a loved one, be it a pet or a parent. To purchase Bernie's books, CDs, or DVDs, go to BernieSiegelMD.com. And while you're there, empower the mind, body, and spirit with Bernie's heartwarming articles.
Are you searching for a way to help create global change? Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's vision is to have an eclectic group of radio hosts dedicated to educating, enlightening, and helping humankind with positive messages and tools that enhance lives using different modalities and programs. If you would like to join our team and help illuminate the universe, call Deborah at 508-226-1723 or Deborah at dreamvision7radio.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network,
uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. You're listening to Mind Health Matters with Dr. Bernie Siegel. If you want to get in touch with Bernie, you can go right on his site. It's BernieSiegelMD.com. Siegel is S-I-E-G-E-L, BernieSiegelMD.com. And as mentioned, you can listen to his show on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. It's Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7 radio.com. And it's Wednesday through Friday, 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. And for our guest, Sally Morgan, you can get in touch with her by going on her site. It's Sally Morgan PT, P as in physical therapy. And so it's Sally Morgan PT.com. She also has a YouTube channel, Conversations with a Corgi, and she has over 400 Facebook live talks and wellness things and all kinds of good stuff there. So again, it's SallyMorganPT.com. Bernie? Thank you.
Because one of the things when you were mentioning about the dog, you know, which one you pick out and somebody brings it back, and in the book that I put together with some about the Siegel Zoo, but also I asked many people to send us stories about animals, so love animals and miracles. But one of the stories is about a friend of mine's family. Her daughter, to make a long story short, was murdered by the boyfriend. The daughter, before she was murdered, had picked out a dog for the father, because there were all girls in the house, and she wanted the father to have another male. So she went to get a male dog, and they told her it was already taken at the breeders. And then she's murdered. And after a year or so, the family was feeling, you know, in her honor, they wanted to go and get a dog and bring it there. So they went back to this breeder, and they, you know, went in, and all these dogs are running around, yipping and yapping, and the breeder blew a whistle to quiet them all down. But one dog ran over and jumped into the father's lap. He was sitting in a chair. And the father began to cry. And the breeder said, "Oh, my God." And they said, "What's wrong? Did we do something?" "No, that's the dog your daughter picked out over a year ago. The people couldn't keep it, so they brought it back." And, of course...
See, when it's meant to be your dog, it's your dog.
Yeah, I mean, you know, those, I keep saying, are no coincidences. And you know that dog knew something, felt something, as well as the father, because he starts crying because the dog jumps in his lap. It just blows your mind. And even when I brought Rags home, I never had to train him to do anything. I always say he speaks English. You know, I mean, he just does everything right. You didn't have to train him not to pee, not to this, go out, you know. He just did it. And you wonder, how can somebody let go of him?
It's just not the right time for them to have a dog like that. I worked with a guy with a Malamute.
Wow. To the shelter. Yeah. But
I had a guy with a Malamute that had died, and I was doing a demonstration at a Malamute rescue retreat, and an animal communicator was supposed to come and didn't show up, so they asked me to lead her group. So people there didn't know that I wasn't her. And so they started, we talked about things, and there was this guy who raised his hand and said, "Do you believe that my old dog can come back and help my new dog find out how to be in my house?" And he had a new puppy who was like 6 months old, and he was perfectly behaved, and he did all of the same habits as the old dog. He would pick up his leash and bring it to him. And, you know, I guess he felt sometimes that when he turned, he would see two dogs instead of one. And I said, "Oh, my gosh, absolutely. Your old dog is helping the new dog fit in, and he's still there with you to help the puppy learn how to live in your household." And this man, this big burly man, I mean, he's got Malamutes, he just burst into tears because no one had validated what he was experiencing with this old dog coming back into his life and helping the new dog. And I think that happens all the time, that dogs learn how to be in our lives from the other dogs, living or dead, that have been with us.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Now I can share some of my things that people think I'm crazy for. But consciousness